6 here this evening. Some crazy moments in Brandon today as a man opens fire at a car wash and then began shooting at deputies along Brandon Boulevard. Sky Fox was over the scene, as you see here, as he was surrounded by deputies and then finally taken into custody. Let's get right to the scene. Fox 13's Josh Cassio is there live along Brandon Boulevard with some new info. Josh, this looks like a scene out of a movie, a very bad one. What have you learned?
Yeah, Mark, in the last hour, we learned who this suspect is. He is 35-year-old Daniel Lighty of South Carolina. And the sheriff noted during his press conference that just prior to the shooting, Lighty was broadcasting live on Facebook. We have obtained that video. It is part of their investigation now. We're going to roll some of it so you get an idea of what exactly was going on. He's sort of speaking incoherently, but he eventually starts arguing with an employee at the car wash. That employee, who you're going to hear from in a minute, is telling Lighty to leave. Lighty refuses, then eventually threatens to shoot the employee, and that's when the video stops. But according to that employee, Lighty does in fact pull out a gun and eventually fires a bullet right past his head. This is around 1 o'clock this afternoon at the car wash on East Brandon Boulevard. Numerous deputies show up, and the sheriff says Lighty fired at them as well. In fact, the sheriff says at least one round nearly hit a female deputy in her car. Now, as they continue to approach him, he keeps firing so many times. The sheriff says he actually has to reload his gun. Of course, deputies fire back, though no one actually got hit. This was one of those situations, I'll tell you, it's really a miracle that no one got hurt in the end. Listen to that employee talk about the moment he was shot at and the sheriff discussing the danger his deputies were in.
He had it in a holster on his waistband. He pointed at me, said, "I don't want to shoot you," put it back, pulled it out again, and then eventually just ended up shooting next to my head. It's pretty scary, I guess. I've been through some, but that was you get a gun pointed at you, you're going to be feeling some type of way.
When you want to talk about the grace of God, here's another prime example. The round hit the vehicle just behind the front seat of the passenger side of her patrol car. A few inches forward, and I'd be sitting here having a much different discussion with you this afternoon.
What a story. Now, the sheriff says after all the shooting, Lighty gets back in his car. He calls 911 and is complaining about his mental health treatment. A crisis negotiator gets on the line, eventually gets him to surrender peacefully. Video from Sky Fox shows deputies surrounding Lighty when it's all said and done. The sheriff telling us he is a huge proponent of getting folks mental health treatment, but he says there is no excuse for what Lighty did today. He says he'll get the treatment he needs, but he's going to get it inside a jail cell. Again, the big things to know right now, the suspect is in custody. Again, no one, including the deputies, were hurt. And at this point, as you can see behind me, Brandon Boulevard, it was closed for at least 4 hours. It is back open in all directions. Mark, back to you.
Josh Cassio live for us. So glad everybody's going to be okay. Thanks very much.